Here we are 8 years later since the release of the original Dying Light, one of the most beloved and underrated zombie games of all time, and in early 2015 it took the gaming industry by complete surprise. Oh yeah! As it was a breath of fresh air in what is considered to be an oversaturated market at that time. Call of Duty Zombies, State of Decay, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. We also had whatever the hell this Walking Dead game is right here. I still have literal nightmares about this one. The 2010s to 2018s was just a sludge of zombie games coming out, developers just pushing out anything to make a quick buck on an audience hungry to go and kill some infected. The genre needed something new and refreshing, and thus came Dying Light.
Welcome to a brand new beginning, you sorry shits.
It offered up a blend of immersive combat paired alongside a unique new satisfying movement system. I'm quite intrigued. All bundled up together into a game that you can play alongside with 3 of your friends, with ongoing support from a developer that was providing monthly updates, new content, events, and tons more to keep the players invested. Years later, I recently revisited Dying Light with a fresh perspective, and it is still awesome. It has aged like fine wine. But what was the success behind Dying Light exactly? Let me tell you about it. It all began really with that first ever trailer that came out of nowhere and just hooked so many people. Run boy run. Techland revealed their biggest project yet, fresh out of their previous zombie series, Dead Island. Here comes Dying Light. This CGI animated trailer tells you so much about the world without giving much away. It's also later revealed that this trailer is actually a backstory to one of the characters too. But you have this 2-minute trailer showcasing free running, parkour, 4 different characters. It's intense, it's brutal, it's horrifying. The music in here too, mwah, chef's kiss. It all really played into the role of getting everyone hyped, and 16-year-old me was instantly hooked, and I got this shit day one, and what it had to offer then was incredible. You get to go and play as Kyle Crane, a secretive Black Ops type of military dude. He's a badass, and as you continue to play him, he's got this charming and cocky wit to him. I will say, he's your pretty typical dude from a game released during this time frame. He's a little bit generic early on, but he's a relatable lad that made your Dying Light experience that much more enjoyable. He has his motivations for the story, his reasonings, and some interesting character traits that make him so beloved amongst the community. That is why in 2023, you're seeing so many references to this character constantly appearing in this sequel. Dialogue, outfits, Easter eggs, folders on developer live streams hinting at his return. But we will touch more on Crane a little bit later, I pinky promise. What I really want to highlight about this game is its introduction. This game is not afraid to just grab you by the nuts and suck you right in. They want to bring you into this world and get you going. From the second you load up into Dying Light, you are engulfed right into this world from the main menu. You see your protagonist Crane overlooking Harran with a banger of a soundtrack playing in the background. One thing that Dying Light doesn't miss on is the composers and musical scores. Like, it has no right being this emotional, gratifying, and it instantly became a classic for any fan out there. But before we do proceed, I would love to go ahead and thank today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. It's one of the most affordable VPNs available on the market right now. For a low price of $1.99 per month. You can go ahead, test it out. If you like it, you can keep it. If you don't like it, that's okay. 30-day money-back guarantee. If you want to be in America for some reason, pay $13,000 for your healthcare surgery because you broke your hand, you can do so with the click of a button. If you want to be in London, whoa, hold it right there, buddy. You can do that too. By changing your location, you can unlock your favorite content from all over the world on various streaming services such as Netflix, Disney Plus, and much more. It'll also keep your devices protected and privated, stop malware attacks, and also help you save some money too. Atlas really comes in handy when I'm traveling around in the airport, when I need to go and make sure my data is safe and secure, because I don't know about you, but there are some really cringy videos of me existing somewhere out there. But thank you so much to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video. Use the link down below in the description. Sign up for their 3-year subscription. It's $1.99 a month, test it out, see if you like it. And with that said, let's get back to the video now. Harran is where the story takes place, this dark and gritty atmosphere, distant skylines with a blend of city and suburban areas. It gives you this familiar European look, like it kind of feels like home, but it's unique enough that it's a refreshing setting that we don't see so often at this time. There are areas filled with spectacles to wow you, sections to also fill your insides with horror. Harran is beautiful. When you climb to the top and just overlook your surroundings, it's quite breathtaking, especially for a game that was released in 2015.
Hot diggity dog! This place is magnificent.
But once you start that new game, you jump right into the action. Wingsuit, parachute yourself out of a plane, land, and instantly engage into combat. But things take a turn. The inciting incident right there. That little plot event that determines the rest of the story. It determines how he's going to be treated in the new world that he found himself in. He lands and then he gets bitten. Instantly. But then he saved. Two people out of nowhere come and assist him, and because of that, one of them is instantly murdered and eaten alive because of his actions. His presence costs the life of another individual 30 seconds into entering Harran. You're then escorted to the tower where there are groups of survivors coming to terms with the hell that they find themselves in now. The tower, at first, it's eerie. You have this off feeling when you look around, kind of like a frightening vibe to it. There's a scene where you approach a baby carriage, and part of me almost thought something was going to pop out. There's bloodstains smeared all over the wall. You peek through a window, you can look at a city, but no one's here. No one is living life. That ordinary day-to-day is gone. What you're seeing now on this floor and inside this tower is their new normal. Fear has overtaken whoever is left. There are some that are willing to step up, but most of them are terrified about what the future holds for them now. And this is exactly how you do an introduction and establish the world and journey that the player is going to go on. You are given a brief introduction to the new horrors roaming around on the streets, the infected. You have the dead, zombies wanting to chew off your every limb at any given opportunity. And of course, the higher the difficulty you play, the more likely it's going to happen. And the infected in Dying Light 1, they come in all shapes and sizes. You have your standard common ones, the biters, the virals. They're the disposable grunts that you can abuse. You can murder them with a single swing. But as time goes on, you get to encounter special infected, the goons, the toads, the demolishers, bombers, screamers, and variety here is quite enough. When you come across these different types of infected, they are very much different from one another. One thing that I love is that you need to properly plan ahead on how exactly you're gonna take them down. Some of them require a little bit more attention than others, to say the least. And of course, you can't forget these bad boys right here, the volatiles, these thick little beautiful beasts. But honestly, more on them later. Specifically with the goons and demolishers, they're so frustrating to fight, especially at an early level, but when you go ahead, you level up, you learn the moveset and behaviors, you can take them down with ease. But let's go back to the introduction now. You then go through this little tutorial section, learning your parkour moves and your capabilities. You learn about the consequences of your foolishness of getting bitten 10 minutes ago. But then from here, characters start dropping hints to you that there's a bigger horror that awaits you. The nighttime. Characters inform you to watch yourself and to not get trapped or stuck outside after hours, constantly telling you this slogan, good night, good luck. Like what does that mean? During one of your first missions, you are forced to sleep to skip out the nighttime for your first day in Harran, but that doesn't stop characters from repeatedly warning you about what's lurking in the shadows. Something dreadful awaits you, and as you progress through the story, the tower is starting to become more desperate because you see many of them, they're infected like Crane. They need Anizin, it's a special medication to stay alive and keep yourself from turning. But unfortunately, there's someone out there, Rais, the main villain of Dying Light, using the world's failures to capitalize on opportunities for personal gain. You know, standard stuff. But more on him later. He's arguably the worst part of Dying Light.
Denji, お前も好きだったろ。
何のつもりだ。
Crane is forced to hunt down airdrops in order to try to save himself and those at the tower. He's warned to not get caught in the nighttime because he might not make it out, but he takes it upon himself because it's his mission. Notice how this game is slowly building up the nighttime. That's important. It's establishing a fear and horror presence to the player right from the beginning. In an effort to do what he needs to do, he finds himself stuck in the nighttime to recover that airdrop. He gets the medicine, but remember, he's still that typical secret Black Ops agent. He's got a mission to follow. He blindly follows what he's told. He's ordered to destroy all the medicine in an effort to put pressure on the tower and Rise in hopes that Crane can go ahead and meet him one day. But now he finds himself in a sticky situation. He's in nighttime, alone. The place he's been warned about for so long since he landed, he finally gets to experience it. And he hears the outcry and screech of someone in pain. He peeks through to see an 8-foot monster ravaging through the body of another. It's a volatile, and it spots him and lashes towards him. Another one is alerted. They know Crane is there, and thus our first ever nighttime experience occurs. You're low level with nothing but stupid pipes and wooden planks in your arsenal of weapons, and you have no choice but to run for your life back to the tower, while these creatures, these volatiles, they start to chase you. They're everywhere, trying to pounce on you at every single corner. While you sprint back, your heart rate's rising, your legs are tired. You can see the tower's UV light in the distance. It's almost there. You're running more and more, and you just barely make it. That's how you introduce nighttime and horror into your zombie survival game right there. That is the standard. That whole sequence that I described to you made players so terrified of the nighttime. It was a sequence that made players never want to experience it again. Players would constantly go to bed and skip the nighttime. They don't want to experience those horrors again. Years later, developers revealed data that a majority of players were so spooked from this interaction that they barely touched nighttime. Honestly, the nighttime as a whole, that became the staple of Dying Light, the horrors of what was lurking in the shadows. And when you establish such a strong identity on something so small, I mean, it's a time of day. You wouldn't even think about something like that in other games out there. But with what Techland did here was truly special and unique. That's how you know they did a phenomenal job with establishing what they had to offer. After your first interaction with nighttime, you can really see that the game's slogan, "Good night, good luck," makes complete sense now. How's all of that for world building? I only described to you like the first hour of gameplay. And remember, oversaturated market at the time, so the nighttime paired alongside the parkour and satisfying combat made Dying Light stick out like a sore thumb to zombie fans around the world. Players were finally starting to experience something new in the zombie genre, and because of that, word of mouth was this game's best friend. But then once you complete this little section of the story is like a roller coaster. It has some high points, some low points, some really generic plot points, and some also really interesting set pieces of just badassery that I still remember to this day. But the biggest highlight is that parkour in gameplay. It's just so satisfying that it makes up for what I consider to be a pretty lackluster story. We will of course talk about the faults of the story, but let me charm you with the gameplay first. You see, Crane, he's a parkour master, and during your gameplay, you have these 3 set of skills that you can unlock throughout your time to go ahead and further progress your character: power, agility, and survivor. And then once you max out all of these, you unlock legend levels, which actually just came out to Dying Light 2 pretty recently. Legend levels allow you to slowly increase your abilities even further. Some abilities include how much damage you deal with kicks, one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, and much more. What I love about these 3 skill trees is that every single skill matters. Every skill in here, it's important, and when you upgrade, you can feel your power level increase. Skills such as stomping enemies, throwing your weapons, being able to increase your stamina are just essential, and you definitely want to take some time to level up, do activities in order to get them all. The only skill that's missing from here is wall running, and I think that was a complete missed opportunity. It would have fit perfectly in here, but it didn't happen. When it comes to combat, taking on infected foes is fulfilling. It's so gory and bloody. Dying Light was not afraid to show you the brutalness of what is waiting in a world like this. That is why when you come out of that elevator for the first time, they show you a bloody massacre. The ragdolls and physics demonstrated in their movement makes the world and the NPCs feel alive, despite, you know, literally being dead. The infected are here for you to have fun, and in some instances, you're definitely going to be having some challenging gameplay moments. I will say though, the weakest aspect of the combat system is combat against human. Dying Light 2 definitely fixed this issue, but combat against human AI was dreadful and oftentimes super annoying rather than something compelling. I would say it got to a point where I was actively avoiding fighting humans with melee weapons. It just wasn't fun at all. Once I got my gun, however, bam bam, call me American Sniper. Another thing to mention too is that there is a whole crafting system to utilize where you can collect resources and different goodies to craft unique weapons, put on modifications, increase your damage output, and just become even stronger. The more you play, the better the loot you will receive, and some weapons get really crazy as time goes on. You will of course have plenty of time to play around with the parkour and gameplay during the open world and during your side quests. But eventually, as you progress further into the story, you have to come across Rais, and oh boy. From your first interaction with him to the last, it's kind of a mess. He does your typical supervillainy stuff, things that make ya facepalm, kills his own people to showcase his power and be feared amongst his followers. And honestly, he's not that good. He's the type of villain to tell you exactly what his super evil plan is, and then you can go and stop it exactly how he told you not to do it. And you can't help but be annoyed by his actions at times. And you kind of just play this little game of cat and mouse, constantly going back and forth until eventually he does discover your true identity. When he does, the story is just slowly building up like something awesome and interesting is going to happen, and then bam, you're forced to travel into a new area, and all that buildup that you've been working for the past hour to 2 hours has completely restarted. You now go to Old Town, the second part of Harran that is much more city-like than the suburban area of the slums. Harran has those two locations to show the players how certain environments would react differently in an apocalypse. It also makes the player come up with more interesting ways of transversing, because by the time you get to Old Town, you should have unlocked the grappling hook, which just makes gameplay so much easier because it's honestly like a cheat code. If you play Dying Light 2, the hook in there is much more realistic, while in Dying Light 1, you can just spam yourself across the map. It is a ton of fun, but it does have some balancing issues. But while you're here in Old Town, one of your main goals is to signal to the world that there are survivors still alive. And you do so with the help of one of your supporting cast members, Jade. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but the side characters in Dying Light are actually pretty damn compelling, and they really influence Crane in many ways. I would say the main three, Jade, Breck, and Raheem, are going to be your favorites. Brecken, the guy that was in the trailer from earlier, he demonstrates leadership and responsibility. He shows Crane how to be a leader and use his skills for good, and how to be a role model to others. While Jade highlights the importance of friends and family, showing Crane how in times of need, you need to put others ahead of yourself. And then you have Raheem. He showcases that young and immature one who's trying to chase a dream. He has that innocence, and he doesn't know the full consequences of his actions yet. All three tell you, the player, how to live inside the game and even outside in the real world. Because honestly, Brecken taught 16-year-old me the levels of maturity and compassion for others. Jade told me you need to sacrifice elements of your life for your loved ones if you truly care about them. Raheem taught me about the full true weight my actions hold, and these are lessons I still carry with myself to this day. And as the story progresses, you see each of these elements from those characters shaping Crane's decision. He goes against the big man, the GRE. He's not taking any more shit. He doesn't listen to the orders anymore. He steps into that leadership role that Breckham taught him about. He sacrifices elements of his life, his job, in order to save his new friends, some that he may even consider a family now. And by the time he gets to that final cutscene, he knows the full weight of his actions. If he gives away the hard drive containing all the vital information that the GRE wants, he knows what will happen. It'll be the end of Harran and mankind as he knows it. It will be the end of all those amazing people he met on this journey that are just trying to survive and get by. The characters that are on your side are some of the highlights of the story, but those who oppose you Once you're in Old Town, you're slowly building up towards that final fight against Rais. You climb the tower to alert to the world that you're alive. I'm still over here. There's people still living here, and now the world knows about it. Continue to save others because it's the right thing to do, and that's what makes Crane so special now. Remember, he starts out as that typical Black Ops guy, but by the end of it, he's just a dude who wants to do right by his people. And as you start gearing towards your final fight, you need to make your way back to the slums. You travel through the outskirts, different buildings and interiors, underground sections. You embark yourself on what is probably the best chase sequence I have ever experienced in gaming. A chase through the sewers from volatiles, those monsters you experienced constantly in the nighttime, probably haunted you throughout for hours and hours, and now they're coming at you at all corners in such a small and claustrophobic area. It makes you feel the terror as you run through what looks like the depths of hell. Bodies are stacked on top of one another. Hives occupy the sewers. Blood and guts are dragged throughout. You're in for a real treat here. They really knew what they were doing here with horror. You then climb a massive skyscraper, putting all of your parkour abilities to the absolute test. You continue to scale this skyscraper, carefully preparing your every move in order to get to your enemy. You literally jump off of a damn crane and you continue climbing as someone speaks into your ear, antagonizing you for every movement, and then you finally get to fight Rais. Everything leading up to this moment, you learned what Harran had to offer. You experienced the world and the struggles of the people living inside, and you, Crane, you became your own. The buildup has led to this moment and you're ready to fight. And it leaves me with emotional damage because the damn fight is a quick time event.
Holy look at all this damage! And we're gonna repair it using Flex Shot.
Remember, the story just keeps going up and down like that. The quick time event, I still hate to this day. Like I said, the buildup is great, and because of this section right here, it just doesn't stick the landing as well if they opted in for something else, maybe like a traditional boss fight. Instead, press S. Okay, press A, you messed up again, press D, yeah, look, you died. But when the fight starts back up, Crane says to Rais what the player has been thinking since your first encounter with him.
Will you just shut up?
And then we get this really badass end cutscene where Crane rises up one last time in this story to finish the job. And when he's presented with his chance to leave, to escape the hell he voluntarily put himself in, he chooses to stay and help the people, bringing all of the lessons that he learned full circle. He doesn't know what the future holds. He doesn't know what the next chapter of his life is yet. That is until the following was released, which continued his story and delivered one of the most unique, engaging, and compelling expansion DLCs that I've ever played. What the following did for Dying Light turned the notch up in virtually every single aspect. The following was just a proper refresh, and it's what ultimately led to an enhanced edition of Dying Light to exist. Like everything that I had an issue with in Dying Light was not an issue in the following. It's like they took Dying Light, gave it a new set of clothes, maybe some haircut, adjusted the camera position a little bit, and then they just transitioned right into the second half of the video without you noticing. To put it simply, I think the following is the best thing to come to the franchise. There's mystery, there's intrigue in the story. What it brought to the table was vastly more interesting than this guy and his QTE boss fight. Because to be quite honest, Dying Light prior to the following really just set up a good solid foundation that they could expand on in the future. I hope they don't go too far from it. We now have a compelling character, we have established great gameplay and parkour movement, and now the following is going to expand on exactly that and introduce various new things into the fold. The following is what made Dying Light truly stand out on its own. It was an update that came out 1 year later. That's one hell of an anniversary update, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Because also alongside the following came the Enhanced Edition, which elevated Dying Light even further with a major update as well. When this version was released, it came with patch 1.1, the patch that added legend levels, nightmare difficulty, bounties, new animations, new guns, new weapons. Do I need to continue? It was like a major 2.0 version of this game started to exist. It completely overhauled Dying Light for the better. And when we go and begin with the following, this story picks up with an even stronger introduction than the base game. You get someone coming into your home rambling on about a mysterious woman, the mother. Hearing how she has the powers to domesticate zombies, I want to snort what he's having. Then the man on the table is expressing how there's a way out, and you're given a map and shit. He's actually right. There's a way out of Harran, something they thought was impossible. And Crane knows that the people are suffering. The tower is suffering. He needs to find a solution to keep people from turning. He's once again showcasing the person that he became over the course of the original Dying Light story. He has now officially broken out of the mold of genericness. Crane follows the lead. It brings him through the caves to an outskirts area, the countryside. Look how beautiful and breathtaking this is. It is simply gorgeous. My favorite part, the only way to proceed forward is down. Jump right into the waterfall and emerge and get ready for what's coming, because you're in for a wild treat. The countryside is definitely my favorite area in all of Dying Light, which, I mean, just by looking at it, you might be confused. It's a completely open area. It looks like Pennsylvania. There's no room to do parkour here. Why are you excited? A game that's praised for its movement and parkour abilities, you can't do it because you're in an open field full of crops and grass. How the hell am I gonna parkour on some corn? Don't worry, I'll get to that later. Something's gonna sneak up on us, or better yet, roll up in style. In this new area, you also have a small little city that is reminiscent of Old Town. And honestly, you're not going to be really doing much here. There are a few little side quests, but nothing major. You may go here to kill some screamers, which, what's the screamer, you may ask?
The ship's unique design suggests
There were no fatalities.
Huh? Oh, come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
This new region also introduced a fair amount of underwater sections, but my favorite, the caves, because the caves are filled with volatile nests. So you remember how Raheem was chasing a dream in the base game because he wanted to do some good? It was the one thing that he wanted to do that cost him his life, was to destroy a volatile nest inside of a building. We do it, and then we kind of barely see nests and hives throughout the rest of the game. They do appear more frequently towards the end, but it isn't as fully utilized as it is in the following. The volatile nests scattered all over this new location. It has some of the most horrific looking settings I've seen in a horror game. Blood smeared walls, guts and body parts just scattered everywhere. It's kind of like they took what made nighttimes so dreadful and scary and then just condensed it inside into a small little section times 100. You go inside these nests and you just massacre an entire fleet of volatiles as a side activity. It's amazing. Certain caves and areas are just amazing spectacles to look at. This cave right here has no right looking this good, and better yet, if you actually visited them during the day, they're even more challenging and more difficult, as the volatiles need to be in the dark when it's light outside. So everybody's home. The nests were something I really wish they capitalized on in Dying Light 2, but unfortunately that just didn't happen. But let's go back to the story now. You make your way to the first settlement as you pass by hunter towers and hordes of zombies occupying the field. Like, this is actually impressive. Look at the sheer amount of zombies here. You start asking around about people who don't turn and who are immune to the virus. And then slowly but surely you piece together that there's this big cult rising up, and some may say there's a following happening. But no one wants to tell you because you're just some random dude. You came out of a cave, jumped into some water, hopped over a fence, and said, "Hi, how are ya?" So you need to go and gain their trust, and one of the first missions you are tasked with is going and stealing back a damn dune buggy. Now all of this open space makes so much goddamn sense now. After getting murdered a few times, you steal back the buggy. You realize that it doesn't end here. There's an entire skill tree and customizable options for this damn thing as well. What the hell? This skill tree is filled with different options to go ahead and upgrade key components to make your riding experience that much more enjoyable. Better brakes, wheels, transmissions, you name it. You can upgrade each one to level 4, and the difference between level 1 Buggy and level 4 Buggy is outstanding. Level 1 is like playing Wood at War on the Nintendo DS. Level 4 on the other hand is like playing on your 3070, 64 gigs of RAM, and that case is also glowing in the dark. Once the Buggy is in your hands, you go on a brief mission of riding around and fixing up the water. It's just to go and get a nice little introduction to your newly obtained toy. And then from here you go on a series of side quests where you are helping the locals to build your trust. Whether it's fixing up the power, dropping off letters, you are doing something in order to gain a reputation. The more missions you complete, the more reputation you gain, meaning the higher the likelihood of the cult letting you in, which in return, once you are in, you can go ahead and meet the mother. And that's, my friends, is how I met your mother. If you are successful, you can bring back the knowledge of the immunity to Harran and save the people, because that's the reason Crane is here. He wants immunity for his friends. Don't forget that. Eventually, you will reach a high enough rank amongst the cult, and they accept you with open arms. And from there, you go ahead and experience one of the most jarring sequences in this entire game. That guy from the intro, the one on the table, he was right. The zombies are ignoring people, just paying absolutely no attention to your existence. It's like how 343 Studios operates the Halo Infinite community. They are domesticated, but now you can hear these voices in your head. There's this blue mist lingering around in the air. What the hell is that? There's a huge mystery as to what is going on. You don't understand it. Someone is telepathically talking to you. All of that, this entire cutscene is way more interesting and compelling than a greedy warlord that they tried so hard to intrigue you with but failed. This scene just lures you right in. You want to learn more. You want to see what the next steps are and where the story is headed. You want to keep playing, uncover that mystery. You're invested. Are you actually going to find the cure? Like I said, that's Crane's mission. Once he learned about a cure existing, he was so focused on obtaining one. You want to learn more about it. You need to learn about this immunity to get back home to the people counting on you. But then you pass out. Someone slipped a little something in your drink. And now the cult has accepted you as one of theirs as you wake up. They tell you a little bit about what's happening, the backstory. That blue mist, it's what's granting immunity and this new ability. And they want you to help them find more and share its greatness. So now you're working side by side with them, completing jobs, running into familiar faces, all because you want to go ahead and impress the mother. You want to go face to face with her and learn about the power that she holds. And eventually you do, and as you slowly approach her, she's not exactly what you thought she was. She's volatile? And honestly, with this scene right here, Sentinel Volatiles is what she refers herself to. It just hijacked the conversation in the Dying Light community. This is what we want to see moving forward in the future, and fingers crossed we get it. So the mother is a Sentinel Volatile, completely aware of her actions. That blue mist you've been chasing, the elixir, it's a phony. It's actually not a cure. It's turning them into people like her. And as you go and talk things out, she goes on and on about her current situation, that there's no more options available. The elixir is not enough, and the only cure available is to go ahead and nuke mankind. That's going to end very well. I wonder if they're going to make a sequel. And after you're done talking, you are then presented with two different options: sacrifice everybody or tell her to off. She wants you to sacrifice everybody because it is truly the only solution, which is a little bit ironic because you spend the entire base game trying to prevent that with the GRE. But what kept you going during that time was the hope for a cure, and that's gone. Or you have the other option: call her out on her BS, take the vials, kill her, and leave. And by me just telling you that, one ending does sound better in reality. Right? Honestly, no ending is correct here. There's no good ending. If you try to go and do the right thing for your people, the people of Harran, the mother forces you to drink the vial. You then fight her, and once she's dead, you start seizuring your way outside. And holy shit, you actually made it back. Look at Harran. Look how beautiful it is. Right? Right? No, didn't happen. You ended up somewhere outside of Harran. Wow, look at those happy little kids over there. I hope nothing bad happens to them. Excuse me, Crane, why are you screaming? Crane, why are you a volatile? So if you take the vials, you doom humanity and you spread the virus outside of the walls. Or if you go with the other option, total nuclear destruction, your people are still doomed, but at least with this, you kill all the infected and you kill everyone living in this nightmare. There's no good ending. Both are a terrible position to be in. There's no cure anymore. Crane spent his entire time trying to find one, but it's not happening. And he finally comes to terms with that if he decides to nuke every living creature here. But you have to mention, by him doing this, some may say he would be a hero. He was trying to do the right thing every single step of the way, and when he exhausted all of his options, he did what he had to do. That's pretty good character development. Even if he took the vials for his people and ended up dooming humanity, still good character development. His intentions were good. I think when Tech1 gave us these choices and consequences, it piqued their interest so much more, and they saw how successful it was, which is why there was such a heavy focus on it in Dying Light 2. And these two endings, no matter which one you pick, it's easily the most intense endings I've ever experienced in a zombie game. And when you go and take a step back and reflect on everything, reflect on the entire journey, it's just so awesome to see where the journey began and where it ended and all the memories in between. Like, yes, there are some bumpy roads, but it was a game that just kept getting better and better with each and every update, all from a developer who absolutely adores their community. And that's really why I love Dying Light, and it forever holds a special place in my heart. And with that said, that's everything that I have to say about it. What do you think about Dying Light? Comment down below and let me know. With all that said, I'll see you later. Bye bye.